Portland, where I'm coming to you from the fabulous bathroom of my hotel because handheld doesn't work for me. I tried to smooth things out and it was just terrible. But hey, I figured why not give a video right now because by the time I get back home, I'll be busy back into work and I've got some free time at the moment. So why not share with you what I've been busy at? Which of course I've been in Portland, I've been in Powell's City of Books. I've been into the Goodwill here because, as a bookie, you never go on vacation. You just go on book crawls, and which I apparently have done. Even though I'm someone who's sort of vowed to like, oh, I'm going to go more electronic now. I'm not going to pick up so many physical books. But now that I'm in Portland, I can't help myself. I have to just go up and grab more books. So that's what I've done. So let me share with you what I've got today. Start off with some David Rakoff. Don't get too comfortable. Actually, David Rakoff is the first author I've reviewed on this channel. His Love, Dishonor, Marry, Die, Cherish, Perish, a novel by David Rakoff, was the very first book I reviewed on the channel. That was his last book, a novel in verse. And this is one of his collections of essays, which I just dipped into the first one where he's talking about how George Bush, I think because it was just such a terrible dumpster fire for president, made him want to become an American citizen. He's a former Canadian, and he's well aware of how touchy that makes us Canadians. But it's like, oh wow, it's nostalgia. This is a book written in 2000, I think 2005, and it's like, oh yes, now the nostalgia of wow, maybe George Bush the younger wasn't actually that bad, which is it's one of these things of I can see how you become an old person and see, you look back and you say like, oh, things were better in my day because that's better in my day was George Bush the younger makes other U.S. presidents seem like towering. George Bush the younger seems less. I don't know. It's all a perspective of history. So, but I'm going to enjoy this book. I'm sure it's going to be quite funny and quite thought-provoking. And yes, also nice and thin, which as you'll see in some of the other books here, is not a theme. Next one I got is actually something I've just been meaning to pick up a hard copy of because I have the e-copy, but this is one of these rare books where I wanted to get a new one. This is Hild by Nicola Griffith. And it's 17th century Britain, and it's Christianity is coming into Britain, and it's displacing the old pagan ways. It's also displacing sort of where a woman could be in that society, and this is all about Hilde and how she navigates her own way into it. And Griffith, because I've read this book already, does an amazing job of just sort of imagining this sort of truly alien world and coming up with what feels like a very plausible lived-in feel of a place. She's someone who's like a science fiction author, and I think that kind of that world building really actually helps with historical novels, especially something where there's so little, I think, actual solid information about how you're going to construct this. So she does a really good, what I feel like is a really good job, and she's just an amazing writer as well. So apparently this is something that's going to actually be a bit more of a series at some point. She's going to come up with more books in it. So I can't wait to hearing when that one comes out, because that's when I'll grab this one up and I will reread, and I will definitely enjoy that to get myself up to speed for the next one. This is the rare time where I was like, oh, maybe because it's not sort of your series book, this does feel like it's a historical novel, and it's very chunky and thick and got lots of stuff in it. I'm looking forward to being when she comes out with a new one, and then I can start rereading this one. Next book, you start getting into that influence of booktube on you. This is a book that Shawn the Book Maniac has talked a lot about being one of his like favorite books, and so I decided to pick it up. And indeed, it's one of these books where it's basically clogged with massive blurbs. There's all the massive blurbs, and it's the New York Times notable book of the year, Washington Post bestseller, NPR bestseller, #1 indie next pick. It's like, so it's very very lauded book, and looking forward to that. So it's nice when you was like, oh, someone I enjoy watching on YouTube. Now I'm gonna start testing out like, well, how do I react to this book? And this is his most favorite book ever. how will I react to it? And that's something that I'm looking forward to, and just looking forward to getting new voices. And that's how you vet your new voices, is you actually read the stuff that they love. Sometimes read the stuff they hate too is also a good way to find out. Next book I got is sort of a fun one. I got this at Goodwill for really cheap here. Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. It's one of these books I've heard a lot about. I heard about this in Tipping the Velvet. I haven't read that. But this one was made into a movie by Park Chan-wook called The Handmaiden. He's a director. He did the Old Boy, which is a very wild and kind of a boundary pushing book, a boundary pushing movie, and he changed this from Victorian England into Korea in the 1930s. So I haven't watched The Handmaiden yet, but I figured I'd read the book, which sounds like they talk about it very Dickens and very kind of great, great plot, very kind of pull you forward. So I'm looking forward to that. It sounds like it will be a fun read, and then I can watch the movie, and maybe watch the TV series. And I love like stuff where you can kind of get into stuff where it sounds like it's been successfully adapted or interestingly adapted, because it's been changed and transformed, especially by the Park Chan-wook one. And you get to hear the different conversations of these artists working on the same story. And so that sounds kind of like some fun stuff for me. And finally, I got Don Quixote, by Michael Cervantes. This is the Edith Grossman translation. I've heard that this is the translation to try with. I think I picked up another translation, and it was sort of very dry as dirt, and I just couldn't get into it. And it's a super big book, and I thought, struggling. So I put that down and thought, okay, I'll find the right translation for this one. It's funny, I'm reading the Brothers Karamazov at the moment. I'm just like, whatever translation. It sounds like they're all kind of good. So for Don Quixote, I decided to hold out for this one. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna try for this one. And I don't know when I'll get to it. I guess it's once I get through the Brothers Karamazov, and then I have that appetite for another thick thumper. But then I'll finally have the physical thing of it. I'll probably also look for like an e-copy of it as well. That way I can kind of pound through the book as I go along. Who knows, maybe I can look for the audio version as well. That's what I've been doing. The Karamazov one is combining them together to really try and get myself as deeply sunk into something as possible and take it in as many ways as possible. So yeah, it's been an eventful trip in Portland, unfortunately. I've had some time to get some more reading done. I'm reading through my Swift biography at the moment, and I'm really enjoying that. But hopefully I'll be busy out enjoying Portland soon, and that'll be fun. So, but I figured, hey, what the heck? Let's get this in right now. We'll have a little bit of downtime. So more videos later.